Hey, good morning. Welcome to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Hope you're doing okay today. Listen, we have a pretty big story here today. We're going to talk a little bit about Russia. We're going to talk about, if you want to, throw it at me so Dave can get looking uncomfortable over there. Your uncomfortableness is making me uncomfortable. So here we go. So we got some stuff going on overseas, right? We have the Russia going on. We're also, though, going to talk a little bit about this trucking market. And when I talk about the trucking market, how long do these rates, how long does that independent contractor, these folks that are going out creating businesses and business because the market's crazy, it's good, how long does this last? And I'm going to kind of dive into my theory on that, and I'm going to take you along that journey with me as we go down what can happen to make it change all of a sudden. And Dave, I think, I'm just saying it right now, I know that right now we're worried about fuel prices, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, how that affects, what I'm going to talk about with these independent contractors that have gone out and bought this equipment, right? And I'm going to kind of call out, I think, I don't want to call it the end, Dave, but I think there's going to be some gloom and doom right up on the horizon for those folks that went out. And if you're at right now, if you're there and you got a wad full of cash and you're getting ready to pay top dollar price, I'm going to tell you, hold on a second. Listen to Sir Rick and Drive Safe Dave right here on BCB Live to get you a little bit better information. Drive Safe Dave. Talk to me about Russia. I know we've had some, there were some additional things that happened yesterday. We had Chernobyl. And here's my thing. Did they really actually take Chernobyl over, or was that just,
no, they did.
I saw early reports on that?
They forced the armor and troops out of the Chernobyl area, which is about 1,000 square miles, and they took the reactor.
What are they going to just get it going again?
No,
why
I hope
that?
not. I hope they don't get Chernobyl going again. I hope they don't.
So why Chernobyl? Seriously, I'm not understanding it. What's going on? And I just think as well from a military operation. You set yourself up there as well. You just shoot the guys that are green, right? I mean, they're glowing. Shoot them. I mean, why Chernobyl?
Well, Chernobyl, it is a former disaster installation. It has spent fuel rods. It has spent fuel there. So you're going to have a military presence at this place. And if you have a military presence and you're Russia, you can't just drive by and wave at those guys.
But how big of a presence is it right there?
I mean, how many tanks does it take to really make it worrisome? I mean, just a couple can really chew up your supply lines, because remember, whenever you invade, the one thing that's stretched more than anything else are your supply lines back to where your people, and if you can't get those harassed or damaged, then you can't supply forward.
Gotcha. So Chernobyl is en route, right?
It is en route.
It's en route.
In an open flank.
Makes a lot of sense right there. You keep, when you say flank, all I think is a steak. So open flank.
Open side. It's a side.
Okay,
it's a side move. It's a side. It's your lateral areas. Yes.
Anything new? Anything else going on?
You know what? I think that they're already trying to start talks with Russia, and I'm not sure the meaning of it, but I do think
that as in who's they?
The Ukrainians. I think they've requested to have talks with them. I do know that there were several battles going on yesterday. I do know that they dropped airborne units close to Kyiv to secure bridges, I'm sure, to allow armor to flow freely. I do know that there were some pitched battles with the infantry. The airborne infantry that hit the ground.
Yeah, so this is boots on the ground for Russia, though, right?
Absolutely.
This isn't air attack.
There was
boots on the ground.
There were casualties and deaths on both sides yesterday. I anticipate those will increase today as reserve units move into place to push.
We saw the U.S. Had sent 7,000 additional troops to areas like Poland and Germany as well. Those are just there for what?
Those are there to help support. There's going to be a huge refugee influx to those countries out of the Ukraine. They're going to be more of a humanitarian presence. Also, what it does do is it allows these countries to understand that they're not in the line of fire with the United States standing there on the ground with troops, because Russia definitely doesn't even want to make a mistake as to throw a shell into the United States area.
Is there, Drive Safe Dave, when we think about what's the president or whoever the guys at North Korea?
Chung or what Chung, is my, Kim.
we finally found somebody, I think, in this world right now that's less popular than him. I mean, there's a lot of countries, and you just hear me out, right? I mean, there's not many people backing Russia, backing Putin, I should say.
Absolutely
on this.
not. Even some of his most closest allies at the UN Security Council meeting and at the UN emergency meeting, basically condemning and calling for a immediate ceasefire and withdrawal of troops, which he neglected on all fronts. But every single country, I believe every country I heard speak at the UN was very condemning and very wanted it to cease fires.
Yeah, even in Russia, and listen, I know it doesn't sound like a lot of people, but 1,700 people out in the street of Russia protesting this, and it's only 1,700 in how many millions of people they have there. 17 it doesn't sound like. But when you know that when you go do this protest,
you're going to jail.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you might as well kiss your kids goodbye, your wife, your spouse goodbye, whatever that is.
Dress
you may
warm.
Not make
Dress warm, because you're going to have an opportunity to understand what Siberia and what Gulag means.
Yeah, and let me tell you that means something when those folks are going out there are knowing that they will get arrested, and they did.
Yes,
right?
they did.
They got swiped up like that. But that's that level of of the disagreement of what's going on. I just don't think it's a popular move, even within within Russia, right? I mean, even those troops, they're just going to go because they have to go.
Yeah, they're not politics. They go where they're told to go, and they fight who they're told to fight. It's not a political pressure when it comes to the military. They have a mission objective. They fulfill the mission objective. Yeah, absolutely. But we're talking about the feelings and the temperament of even their own people, not in a great, don't think this is a great idea. And it's not just the fact that they're putting their own troops in harm's way. I believe they truly think this isn't the right thing to do. And even though, if you watched any of Putin's rant on TV that he had the other day, it was scary. It was scary with his intention, and it was scary with what he actually said and believed. And I'm telling you, it's something to watch. This guy is turning into one of those madmen with power.
It's amazing that still today, and I do get amazed at this, that even today, and it really is, Dave, it's a single person with that much power. Yeah. It's just one man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all it is. It's not like he's he's got arms and everything. He's not like a monster you see on. He's just one man that controls that many people, that controls the decisions of that many folks, and nobody will, they're scared to death. It's like, you think about Hitler, kind of the same way, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, so Putin, a KGB guy, but I was listening to something on Putin. Nothing about him really stood out as a kid. I mean, he wasn't there was nothing just crazy like leadership. Even at the KGB, he wasn't like a high rank or anything on that.
Well, he was actually.
How does he get into that power?
Criminal activity and eliminating your opponents.
One at a time.
Yep,
one at a time,
or in mass.
We talked about, was a year ago we talked about, or 2 years ago on this show. I know we had a little fun with it about the person running against him, how all of a sudden he got poisoned, right? Wasn't that the show we did?
Yes.
And
and it wasn't just it was in Minsk, and those are some of the things that make you wary in understanding that. And I've always believed that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And when you have that, when you believe that, I am untouchable, then you make these kinds of horrible decisions that go along. And if you don't listen to what your advisors tell you, and if all they're telling you is how awesome you are, then you probably are going to be doing
Well, there are some exceptions to that rule. Hey, we'll be right back to BCB Live.
Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
Safest station in the nation. Philadelphia, 33 degrees, a little chilly there. Drive safe, Dave. We had challenges within the country once again, and that's, with running lanes. We had a lot of bad weather coming from Texas up to Oklahoma. Pretty much is stretching all the way up to that northeast, right? Again, and boy, when that happens, we've got to come back in and practice the patience, right?
Yeah, it is absolutely the rule of thumb whenever this happens. It is seasonal. It happened again. We've had another ice storm move through all across the country. It has blocked travel and trucking and has made it very difficult to pass through. I do know that most of that has moved up into the Northeast, into Pennsylvania. They came out today and said, no commercial trucks at all on the road. So you're done in PA
Gotcha.
Today. You're not running today. Should clear up by tomorrow, though. I think it's going to completely move out of the country by tomorrow, and I see great improvement stretching from Texas all the way to the Northeast.
Yeah, yesterday during the show, and one of the beautiful things about BCB Live is that when the inclement weather happens, we're going to be on and come on multiple times throughout the day to share that information with you. We want to make sure you know what's going on, and we opened up Texas yesterday. It kind of opened up. It never got real warm, but just enough to dry out them roads and to get that little thin layer of ice off the bridges. We opened that back up. We had a suggested speed of about 55 miles an hour. Oklahoma, though, just like north of Ardmore, still kind of shut down. We're not ready yet, and we're not going to tell you to drive yet. It didn't warm up last night, right? It
didn't warm up. However, the great news is that there was no precipitation last night, which adds, and as this cooled air comes in and keeps continuing to come in, it's drier air, which tends to soak up a lot of that moisture off of the roads and get it out of the way. I anticipate today, this morning, as soon as light hits, we've seen great improvement all across that region. I anticipate early this morning we have a difference.
And when we open that up again, we're going to tell you and encourage you. Yeah, we're not going to go. Yeah, not go. It's not that. It's not the gold rush. Slow down.
Yeah, you still are going to have challenges on side roads and untraveled roads across the region, no matter where you're going, that this storm has gone through, and you're going to see spots that you may need to be aware of. And we're not saying that, everything's clean, free, and easy.
Roll your windows down.
Hang out the window. Yeah. It's still 20 degrees. However, we believe that it is seasonal, and we believe that you are prepared and genuinely understand that there's going to be a limited number of challenges out there that you still have to face and be prepared for. Yep. So slow down, take it easy, and understand it's still possible to hit tough spots.
Yes, situation awareness. Know what's going on around you. That there's going to be delays as well for many of these places. As a matter of fact, in schools, we got 2-hour delays in the school in the Dallas area. 2-hour delays. So when traffic's normally bad at 7, well, now it's going to be just as bad at 9 o'clock. People coming in, and don't forget the workers that are going to McDonald's, to trucking companies, to the Boeings, to wherever they're going. They will still use this as an arena. Boy, it was still bad at my house. So they're going to
the driveway was messed up.
Yeah, we're going to hear all sorts of things. People will get to work today. You'll see a lot of traffic on the road today.
And I anticipate as the sun comes out and people realize how clear it is and how much the roads have improved overnight, not only from yesterday, but overnight, you're going to see a lot more people out there running around. As opposed to yesterday, it was like a ghost town in Dallas and Fort Worth, all around there.
And it needed to be.
It did need to be.
You know what? It's tough. And boy, we had a few conversations yesterday. Matter of fact, we had another driver from another company come to this place. They had to pick up at the warehouse here. They got here. And this was my point, I think, we tried to make yesterday, is that this couple, great people, they got to the Mansfield location area only to find that the people that operate in the warehouse here weren't working. So they went through that whole part the night before to get where they are, to get that load, to get to Laredo, right? Because that's where their next load was coming, only to find out the load here, it wasn't going to go because nobody was coming in. And that's the patience part we try to plead with you to understand, is that yes, you can make it, right? I mean, yes, you can, but why? Why take that chance on getting that accident? And once that happens, it's never, ever worth it. And yes, you need the miles, too. I'm going to say, I get it, right? You need the miles, but
not the headache.
To get where you're going and that stress that goes with it, only to get here and you're still here. You didn't go anywhere. You did that stressful run overnight and to get where you're going, only to find out the people didn't come into work to ship the freight out, to unload your trailer.
So yesterday, I wanted to give my wife a break because of she had a lot of stuff going on.
Go stay at a hotel?
No, I went to go get a pizza. And yesterday, and I went up to the pizza place to go get one that it's usually hot and ready, and there was nobody working.
Yeah.
there was zeros on the deal, so I actually had to go hunt down some food for myself and my wife. But I'll tell you, it was that way all across the region, and it is what it is. Just be careful. You know, even though you're released to go in all these areas and stuff, be mindful of these shaded areas, these areas under bridges, these areas that can hide and still create slippery environments. When you exit off of the freeway, go a little bit slower before you get to the side road, just a little bit, right?
Agree.
Before you and when you're turning around corners and you're going into parking lots, be a little bit wary of the surface on which you drive, because it still may or may not be a challenge to you this morning.
And if you're waiting on the Amtrak, that's Drive Safe's Dave's shirt today. The Amtrak out of Dallas, it's running, but it's running on a Saturday schedule, so pack your patience once again. It will not be there as many times as it normally is.
Yeah, they
running
closed.
Weekend schedule. Same thing it did yesterday, I think, too, right?
Yeah, no, yesterday they didn't run.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yesterday they didn't run at all, and because of bad weather, and ice is not good for rail anyway. And if the streets are bad, then the trains that run on the streets, it's not good. They can actually derail. But I believe today they're going to run a limited schedule. And if you're sharing the road with a train, be mighty cautious today.
Hey, when we talked about, we opened up the show today talking about the market that we're in right now. Okay, and I know we have a lot of companies that watch this show, trucking companies, but we also have a lot of the independents. We have a lot of folks that watch the show and maybe just became a company, a trucking company. Correct. We saw a large spike last year in new companies opening up in the trucking industry. Rightfully so, right? I mean, with the rates going where they were, you saw the rates. Well, you know what? Let me go buy a truck and let me get into the market. Let me create a trucking company.
Because the opportunities were there.
It was phenomenal. And it's still good. Don't get me wrong. Things that we have to think about, Dave. And when I think about what can change in this market, I immediately think just it's YOY, right? Year over year. And I want you to think about that for a second before you go out and buy that truck or that trailer. And again, and I'm talking about the old truck, right? That 4-year-old truck or 8-year-old truck or 3-year-old truck, because you're paying as much for that truck as we did 3 years ago with 0 miles on it, Dave, right?
Absolutely. The market's unbelievable, and you're basically paying.
So why is the market like that? I mean, what drives that price? To understand, again, hear me out here, because you're putting money down on these trucks. The same truck that the Schneiders, the Swifts, all these companies, went out and bought 2 or 3 years ago, cheaper or the same price that you're paying today, and now you're starting off with 400,000 miles. You got 100,000 miles before you run out of warranty, Dave. What drove that market to get that price of that truck to where it is?
We live in a supply and demand, and I'm telling you, I had limited supply, and you had
limited supply. So supply as in what?
Everything. New trucks, and when you have a limited supply in the new trucks, the only thing you're forced to buy is the used truck. And when you see a bunch of people going out there and buying for the first time a used truck to get into this.
So I guess this. So every other year, these companies keep their trucks. Why didn't they keep the trucks this year? How did they even begin to go to that open market? What drove them? What drove a Schneider to say, you know what? Instead of keeping this truck, I'm going to sell it and get rid of it and not keep it with another driver, not add to my fleet this year.
Because I believe their fleet shrank and or stayed the same, and instead of adding to the fleet.
Gotcha. So I guess what made them stay the same? I mean, how did they not grow their fleets?
Driver shortage.
Driver shortage. And I'm going to just start right there with the driver shortage, because year over year, okay, here's what I'm going to say is that right now in this month, we're going to create more drivers. More drivers are going through training this year, right, than last year. And guess what? Next month it's going to be the same. As COVID, it moves out of here, or we're not concerned, whatever you want to say, but we have better training practices, all these things. More drivers will enter in the market than last year. And then also that year before. Because the year before, there was no training going on from April until July, August, September. So these big trucking companies, they lost their supply. And it wasn't the supply of trucks. It was the supply of drivers. And when they lost it, so did everybody else. Because we tend to feed off of them. Once the driver gets 3 or 4 or 5 years, they eventually come down. So Drive Safe Dave, that year-over-year number alone, the drivers going through training right now, new drivers into this market, we're going to see, and I don't know that number, and I wish I had the number, but I'm going to get you. We were going to have a guest on yesterday to help me with this from a training school. What is the difference between this year and last year? Because, Dave, if we start producing that many more drivers this year, understand in about 12 to 14 months, they're eventually going to hit the open market. Right? The other drivers are going to hit, and not those drivers, but they push the other drivers out. And all of a sudden, those drivers start going to other trucking companies. And all of a sudden, these trucks that these trucking companies were selling, they start keeping because they have drivers for them now. And when the trucking companies, the larger companies that really control the freight, again, we think about 15,000 loads a day being shipped out, and you think about 18% of that freight being rejected. Well, the rest of that freight in between there, that's the spot market freight. Great. That's what you guys out there that went out and got your own authority, that's what you're living on. And the rates are high.
Yep.
And so what happened on that, you have these rates way up here, and all of a sudden you have an opportunity to get a truck, and you're paying way up here for these rates way up here. Well, guess what? The trucking rate you bought, it's going to stay up there. But once these trucking companies start putting more butts in the seat, they're going to continue to raise their rates, because what a trucking company has, what a large company has over you, the independent contractor out there, is that, our rates are right here. Your rates are right here. We can continue to take more freight and go up, and all of a sudden your rates go down because that 15,000 shipment stays the same. And then instead of being 18% rejected, Dave, it's at 10%, 8%. Yeah. And then what happens? Then all of a sudden, now that $3.40 a mile becomes $1.90 a mile, because you are all fighting over that freight.
Oh yeah, too many. Now you got too many trucks and not enough loads.
And we're not far away from that. I mean, we talk about the truck manufacturers, right? They are producing as much or more trucks this year than they did last year as well. So all of a sudden now you have more new trucks coming into the market than last year over year. Last year, the supply chain, all of these crunches, the chip, it's going to affect us all. It affected us all much more last year than it will this year. And we're not going to be up to par this year, but for every truck that comes out, every additional truck that comes out, that's going to fight against that spot market freight. And you, the independent contractor, whoa, slow down for a second before you go out and buy that, you want to add to your fleet. Hold on a second. We're not far away from year over year is all I'm talking about. We're going to have more drivers in the market. We will have as many or more trucks coming out. We just are. The trucking companies that take all of the majority of the freight. Understand, 18% of the freight's all you're fighting for right now. And when that becomes 10% or 9% or 8%, that top rate that you bought this truck on way up here thinking it's going to be $3 forever, all of a sudden that same $3 is $2. You've lost $1 a mile. $3,000 a week for some of you. $152,000 to $156,000 a year of cash on that truck, on that one truck. And now, how did you go out and buy a new house thinking it's going to last forever? Did you go out and buy a trailer that you just paid, 50% more than it was 2 years ago? What about the prices of parts? They're not coming down. Fuel's not. Think about you, the independent contractor. Just hear me for a second, because I want you to be careful. Fuel's going up. And it's going to continue. Yeah, with what's going on over in Russia, it's going to continue to go up. Guess who's not really affected by this? Who's not affected by this? The big. Well, hold on a second, Dave. I mean, it was $3 last week and it's $5 this week. What do you mean they're not protected?
Well, they have a fuel surcharge contract in place that supplements the cost of fuel based upon the market rate of fuel at the time.
Guess who doesn't?
The independent contractors on the spot market does not and will not be protected against fuel costs.
Will not do it, right? So even, and here's just some things that, again, I'm just talking to you about. That same $3 a mile, okay? That same $3 a mile you're getting last year, Dave. A year ago, $3 a mile, and I'm still getting $3 a mile. I'm freaking pumped up, baby. It's a year. Is that the same money?
Than it was last
yes.
year? Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because you divide. If right now it's over $1 more a mile, almost $1.20 it was
a gallon
last year at this time, right?
Yep, $1.20 a gallon.
$1.20 a gallon. If you take that $1.20 a gallon and you divide that by your fuel, by your miles per gallon, whether it be
it's called 6 miles a gallon.
Let's call it 6. So
it's 20 cents.
20 cents every mile you're losing.
So that same $3 today is $2.80. Yeah. And we haven't put anything else in.
Nope.
Nothing. Parts. Thank you.
Downtime.
Yeah. Have you seen tire prices go down yet? None of that stuff has happened right there. So we got to make sure that we take all of that in consideration. It's not the time to add to your fleet. You know what? And it can. Yeah. And again, this is just Sir Rick's humble opinion. But Dave will tell you, if his mic was on right now, it's just Sir Rick's just never wrong. And see, I can say this because he can't talk right now.
Never wrong. First wrong statement you said today.
Hey, but I do want you to hear that and to understand when I say that, it's the passion for this business to make sure, Dave, one thing we try to do is make sure we keep you educated on what we see behind the scenes. And you know what? It's 3 simple words or letters, YOY, year over year. Think about that before you go out there and make that. Everything this year, as we've getting better, people are back. More people are back to work.
They
right?
are.
It's not real impressive still. I don't know where everybody else is, but more people are back to work. Year over year, we're going to produce more. We're going to produce more chips.
Yeah. More
parts.
And
I'm talking about Mexico. I'm talking about all over the world.
Yeah, and let's be honest. Markets have a tendency to balance themselves when the dollar is up.
Here's the next thing too, as you bring that up, Dave, is that we have never seen a spot market last this long.
I've never.
Nobody has. Not just you. Nobody has seen a spot market in transportation. It still has a little leg on it. Don't get me wrong. You still got another 6-8 months. Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. Even that spot market in 2018 that we saw, then that was a phenomenal beginning of the year. That was the last time we all celebrated, went out and bought new trucks and did this, all of this. That lasted 6 months. This has gone on for a long time.
We talk about that, and it does real world forces take a play into it. I was reading that we've got this thing going on in Ukraine, as we've been talking about, but we haven't touched the oil sector with Russia, nor have we done anything to limit the supply of them selling on the open market. So in reality, there hasn't been a genuine change in the supply of oil. However, speculation has changed alone, and those driving forces has created this price. If we decide to slam the door closed, you're looking at I mean, I'm looking at 50 cents to $1 change at the pumps.
And oh, by the way, we haven't even talked about interest rates. We haven't even talked about that yet either. There's a lot of things out there. Let me tell you something. Look at the flags out there. Before we do anything else, Drive Say Dave, we've got to get that phrase that pays winner going right now. It is Friday, and Dave, when we do phrase, it's Friday, right?
It is Friday.
Wait, that was
give some money away.
Let's give it out, baby. And you know what? What is it? $200 this week, right?
No, it's one.
No, we're going two.
Okay,
$200
I like it.
Right now. Let's go to the winner. Make sure we have that random machine going, and it's a good doozy. There's an app for those random numbers now. Who do we got, producer?
All right. Charlie Crawford.
Mr. Crawford in the house. Charlie Crawford, do you know that phrase that pays?
I think we ought to have like the music from like Jeopardy. The ting, ting, ting.
It's a good one, Drive Safe Dave. Very good. Next one, strike one. Here we go. Who else we got?
All right, Edward Lester.
Oh, Ed Lester. He missed the last one. He was on vacation. I remember. Or birthday.
Ed, you don't have any
He had
excuse.
a birthday.
Man,
it's all right.
Self-muted. All these people are self-muted.
You know what? We love it. And that means it's time for one more person.
All right.
Strike two.
Kenneth Marshall.
Okay, Marsh. I've not heard from Kenny in a long time.
What's up, Kenny?
Self-muted.
Kenny Marshall, come on.
Make yourself green.
I threw an extra 100 in there. All I continue is give and give and give until it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Nobody? Drive Safe Dave, can you give us that phrase that pays?
Yes, I can give the phrase that pays.
Don't show it. Don't show it for $50. Give it to me.
I don't know it.
I can't give away money at this place. Give it to us, Drive Safe.
All right, here we go. We give you a phrase and make it pay so you can put safety in your mind and make it stay.
Put safety in your mind. Make it part of what you do. As we just went through this winter, Dave, I think we saw a lot of drivers. As a matter of fact, every driver went out there and they put it in their mind to make it happen. Safety is a mind thing. Put safety in your mind. Make it what you do every single day. We have Double Check Dale coming up next. This is BCB Live, and we are
the safest station in the nation.
Good Friday morning to everybody, and welcome to the Safety Show on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You got Double Check Dale in front of the camera. You got Jack running the controls this morning. It is Friday. Let's take a look at some traffic and some weather, and then we'll take a break and come back and talk safety and videos. This morning, traffic-wise, looks so much better this morning than it did yesterday morning, and that's mostly because the weather is pretty much cleared out of here for now, or the adverse weather, I should say. If you go over to the Fort Worth side, you know, the usual place is that 35W up at the 81 merge point. You're going to see a slowdown. Downtown Fort Worth on 35W, slowdown. North of Richland Hills and Bedford up on the 183, 820. You know, you had some backups going there on the eastbound lanes. So be aware of that North Richland Hills and the Bedford-Hurst areas where those are. 20 coming across looks really good this morning. When you're in the Dallas area, you know, a little bit of slowdown on the Sam Rayburn up in the Carrollton area, and again in Farmers Branch, you'll see both directions, some slowdowns and delays there. 635 between DNT and 75. You know, you have some slowdowns there. 45 in the downtown area, of course, looks bad. Out on Highway 80 in the Forney area, coming into town eastbound, or westbound, I should say, westbound in Forney, Highway 80. A lot of slowdown and delays there. If you're going south of town, of any of the roads that are south, 45, 35E, 35W, all look really good this morning. Traffic is a little light. It is Friday, so enjoy your commute in the Dallas-Fort Worth. Hey, going to Houston. Houston has a little bit more going on this morning than usual. 10 coming in from the west, out by that George Bush Park, Katy area. You're going to see some inbound traffic that's eastbound on 10. Looks really, really heavy out there. The outer loop up on the north side of town is where you're going to see some slowdowns, and that's on, and also 69 and 45. Once you get inside that outer loop, that Sam Harris Tollway in there, and so be aware of that. The inner loop 290, the west side and the north side, expect some major delays and slowdowns there. Very, very heavy traffic there. Of course, downtown Houston, lots of heavy traffic there, slowdowns and delays. So if you have to go through that area of town, be prepared for some delays and some slowdowns because there is a lot going on in the downtown Houston area. Other than that, South Houston on Highway 45 between the two loops, you have some major slowdowns there on the northbound lanes. That's I-45 in South Houston. You get further south, it looks good. 288 south of town looks good. And 10 going east of Houston looks good. If you're up in Kansas City, we don't have much to talk about except right before you get to the downtown area on 70 westbound. I take that back. 70 eastbound. Right before you get to the downtown area of Kansas City, you're going to see some slowdowns. Other than that, the traffic up in Kansas City looks really good this morning. Chicago area. If you are coming in from the west, it looks really good. 90 looks open. 88 looks good. 55 coming up from the south looks good. 80 looks really good, you know, all the way to the 294 loop. And once you get inside that 294 loop, that's where you're going to see the major traffic on. It doesn't matter if you're on 90 or 290 or 55, you're going to see some very heavy traffic inside that 294 loop. Going south out of Chicago on that 57 and 94, right where they split, you're going to see some heavy traffic in that area. If you go over the Indiana side, traffic looks really good over there. Nothing major going on 80, 94, 90. So, you know, overall, Chicago looks pretty good. It is a Friday commute. Ooh, Atlanta. You know, Atlanta looks just normal this morning, you know, and that is to say, if you're coming in from the west, 20, where it hits the 285 merge point, you are going to see heavy traffic in all directions there. If you are in the Atlanta area and you take the 285 loop south of I-20, you have really good travels this morning. No major slowdowns or concerns there. If you take the 285 loop north of I-20, you're going to see some major slowdowns in the Magnolia area, the Sandy Springs area, the Chamblee area, and then over on the east side, the Clarkston area. So, you know, if you're going around Atlanta, the southbound loop or the south side of the loop looks much better than the north side. 85 coming in from the north. Pleasant Hill, Norcross, all the way down to the 285. Very, very heavy traffic on 85 southbound this morning, so really expect some delays there. But overall, you know, it looks like a pretty normal commute for Atlanta. Going south out of town, 85 and 75 look really good. 20 to the east looks good this morning. Nashville actually looks really pretty decent this morning. You have a little bit of slowdown on 40 right before you get into close to that outer loop area, the Briley Parkway. The inner loop, 65 and 24 up on the north side of town. The merge point is where you're going to see some delays. Looks like there's probably an accident up there. So be prepared for some slowdown, some stop and go traffic in that area. The East Nashville area actually looks pretty good this morning. Not too much going on there. And then the 2440 split on the southeast side of town, some heavy traffic there at those merge points. If you are coming up from the south on 24, expect some major slowdowns and delays starting about out in the Laverne area And so 24 coming up from the south, that's probably the biggest trouble spot in Nashville this morning. Washington, D.C., out 66 coming in from the west. Centerville areas where you're going to start seeing some of the slowdowns. Once you get to that 495 loop on the southwest side of town, Annandale, you will see a slowdown there. If you're on the north side of that loop up in the Silver Spring area, McLean area, all the way around to Greenbelt, some heavy traffic and slowdowns there. If you're coming in from the north on 270, it starts up around Clarksburg or Germantown area where you're going to see some heavier traffic and some delays, probably some stop and go traffic there. If you're going north out of DC toward the Baltimore area, 95 looks pretty good this morning after you get past that 495 split. And so you get up to Baltimore, traffic looks pretty decent in Baltimore, on the south side of town, usually really good there, no different this morning. Where 70 and the outer loop merge in the Lockern area, you're going to see some slowdowns in traffic there. Up on the north side of town, Townsend and Parkville area on that loop, that 490 or 795 loop, 695 loop, I'm sorry, is where you're going to see some heavy traffic and slowdowns there. 95 going north out of there looks really decent this morning. Philadelphia, coming in on 76. 276, Conshohocken on into the downtown area, very heavy traffic both directions. 495 coming up from the south, the Wilmington area, not too bad. When you get to the Chester part of that, you're going to see on the northbound lanes, you're going to see some slowdowns and heavy traffic there. Jumping over to the Jersey side, that Hayden and Haydenfield area, you're going to see some a little bit heavier traffic there. Nothing major, but you could see some slowdowns in major traffic or tie-ups in that area. The Jersey Turnpike going north and 95 going north out of Philadelphia look good this morning. Going to Indianapolis. Indianapolis looks really nice this morning, everyone. I mean, the major roads coming in, 65, 74, and 70 from the west on the west side of town, all look really good. That 465 loop on the around Indianapolis looks very nice this morning. And 70, 74, and 69 out on the north and east side of town, traffic really looks light or looks good in Indianapolis. Nothing major going on there, so enjoy that Friday morning commute if you're out in Indy. With that, we will switch over to some weather and see what is going on. And actually, there's not a lot going on in the Midwest or the central part of the United States right now. Most of it has shifted out to the east. If we look at what the precipit's currently happening, we do have some rain down along the Gulf Coast in the Texas area, all along Louisiana and over into Alabama, Mississippi, Alabama. And then those showers turn north up through Georgia and eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia is all seeing some rain. But the area of concern right now is probably Lexington, parts of central Kentucky, up into southern Ohio, southeastern Ohio. You're seeing some wet snow. Pennsylvania is getting just all kinds of precipitation. If you're in North Pennsylvania, you're seeing snow, then you're seeing some wet snow in central, some rain in areas. And if you're in the far eastern part of Pennsylvania right now, look for some sleet or some freezing rain. If we back that up a little bit, Pennsylvania really got hammered with some freezing rain in the overnight hours, and so be aware of that. They had a lot of freezing rain. I know if you go to 511pa.org, you can see what restrictions is. Currently, there are 26 road restrictions in Pennsylvania. We move that ahead to a little bit later today, and that storm starts to move a little bit to the north. Pennsylvania gets out of it, just a little bit of snow. And then the Connecticut area, New Hampshire, Massachusetts is getting snow. Talked to somebody up in that area, and they said in the Boston area, Exeter, New Hampshire area could get anywhere from 8 to 14 inches of snow before it clears out. And let's take a look when it does clear out. Probably in the overnight hours as it goes into the evening and into tomorrow morning is when that snow moves off. But like I said, they are expecting in the Boston area and a little bit north up to 14 inches of snow in different areas. Let's take a quick look at temperatures, see what we have going on with those. Currently, the temperatures in the Dallas area are a little below freezing. Oklahoma City's 15. North Platte, Nebraska, 3, and where we had that freezing rain line last night or yesterday is still very cold. Memphis 26 and Lexington 33. But we do see a nice warm up by 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. Oklahoma City is above the freezing mark. Dallas should hit 42. St. Louis will be right at that freezing mark, and Kansas City up to 28. Columbus, Ohio 32. So this afternoon, later today, we are going to see some nice warm ups across most of the U.S. And then let's go into the overnight, see how cold. Cold temperatures drop back down as far south as Lubbock, Texas, 24, and Oak City, 25. Lexington will be 26 overnight. Washington, D.C., 30, and New York, 22. Lowell, Massachusetts, out there by Boston, a balmy 12 degrees overnight. Tomorrow, however, again, we see a very nice warm-up. Tomorrow, we see Dallas at 40 by 11 a.m., Kansas City, St. Louis, Iowa City, all above freezing by noon tomorrow. Lexington will be 37. So, the storm is starting to clear out. Sunshine is starting to reappear. When that sun comes out, the temperatures warm up in a hurry. So overall, not too bad a weather pattern. I'll take a quick look at winds. I don't believe we have anything major going on with the winds right now. If I can find, there we go. Winds right now, nothing major going on in any of the areas that we're currently looking at. The only areas I would say where you may see some wind is the front range of the Colorado Rockies up into Wyoming. Of course, that Elk Mountain area is always seeing some winds. A little bit of wind out in the West Virginia area, but I don't believe we have, gusts up in the 30s. So you want to be mindful of that. Again, there is a lot of weather going on, most of it into the east, northeast. So if you're a driver in those areas, make sure you get the local weather going on. Find a nice station that you trust. Tune in and see it go on, and be mindful of the road conditions. With that, we will take a short break. Oh, we have a caller?
We have a couple questions. One question from William Park says, I'm in Memphis and the weather's good, 40 degrees and dry. Would like to get rolling. And then Justin Hayes, can I leave Little Rock right now and head to 88, Oklahoma?
What was Little Rock?
Justin Hayes.
Okay. Hey, we're going to do we're getting together as a group shortly after 8 o'clock. Around 8:30, we will see an update. We look for some major changes, everybody, because we are recognizing that temperatures are warming up. The storm has moved away. So, right now everything is just kind of in a holding pattern to what we have. But at 8:30, just shortly after, we will send out some driver tech messages and emails about the changes that made. So it'll be better able to answer it at that time. So for right now, just hold tight.
Welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Drive safe. You look a little low down there today.
I know, but I think I lost some air.
I feel like you're scooting up to the dinner table right now. You know what? We got dinner. We got somebody bringing in breakfast. You remember when shows were sponsored by folks like McDonald's? We'd have breakfast in here, and we'd have Cinnabons in here from the truck stop. Was it Johnston's truck stop?
Johnston's Truck Stop Cinnamon Runs.
It's been so long since I've had one, I forgot their name. If you're looking for a group of folks to sponsor, Shoney's, Hometown Buffet,
Dunkin' Donut.
Yeah, donuts, any of that. We're your people right here. If you need to slap that logo on something, It's right here at BCB
Bob's Steak and
Live.
Shop.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Hey, Dale, boy, just some dicey weather, but you know what? We managed through it, didn't we?
It looks like we have. We are definitely getting toward the tail end of it. You know, the Northeast has still got to deal with it today. You know, looking at PA, just a ton of restrictions. You know, I don't have to do much up there because PA gets so active with their restrictions and stuff. I've sent those out on Driver Tech. So if you're in that area, just make sure you know in PA what restrictions and what roads you're on because they vary by route.
Gotcha. Yeah, when trucking companies tell you to slow down, I know it's a little bit, sometimes you get, but when the DOT tells you to shut down, I think you should shut down, right? What do they look? They look fond upon somebody when there's a truck. They say no trucks running, and a couple trucks are running. Do they just, oh, that guy, what's wrong? He'll get there. What happens on that?
It's the same. I just gonna tell you, it's kind of the same feel. It's kind of the same feel as when the older police officer's sitting at Dunkin' Donuts having donuts, and the young guys running back and forth with the lights on. He's like, "Yeah, we'll get there."
Hey, but we do want to remind you of this as we begin to open up, right? As this, you know, that Midwest again, we open up the highways, open up the roads. We got to make sure that we don't just go freaking crazy. We still have to go slow, look at our surroundings, watch some bridges, the overpasses, the underpasses, and traffic, right?
Yeah, that's right. Be mindful of your situation. And you know, they put up, there's so many warning signs, the road signs now on the interstates. If they say icy spots ahead, they don't do that just for fun. They mean there's icy spots. Have to be aware of them. They can, you know, the bridges and overpasses freeze first. Those sheltered areas are the last places to thaw out. So you just have to be mindful of that. You know, if you're in an area where you do have some roads that are compromised, don't use that cruise control. I mean, it's just the little things, but we all have to be safe out there.
For sure. And, you know, we see signs out there, and you talk about those that warn you of the ice and the bridges. What about states like, say, Louisiana and maybe even Mississippi, definitely Louisiana, on the interstate? How come it just doesn't say, like, rough road ahead? And it's just the interstate. There's no construction. It's just the road. Isn't that a beat down of a road drive, say, or 69? You know, just rough road ahead. You know, and you're like, there's no construction. It's just, it will wear you out, wear you down. Hey, what do we got going on, Dale?
Hey, you know, this week we've been talking about the lane changes, the do's and don'ts. And so, you know, start back on Monday. Just a quick recap. Plan ahead. Don't tailgate. Do leave more space. Don't cross more than one lane at a time. Do signal your intention to change lanes. Don't do it at the last second. And yesterday, check your mirrors. Do not change lanes near or through an intersection. And today, you know, we talk about speed all the time. I just talked about it with the weather. Watch your speed. If another vehicle speeds up, then let them go. If you have to speed up to get past, you probably shouldn't be doing it. So pack your patience. And then don't change lanes if you're distracted in thought, conversation. Never cross solid white lines or yellow lines that are on the side of your highway. They're there for a reason. I mean, don't cross them. And so just, you know, it's just the little things that we do and makes everybody safer.
Yeah, and if you missed yesterday afternoon show, Dave kind of threw something else out there. You talk about checking the mirrors, and Dave reminded all of us to check them with your eyes. And I couldn't agree more. I didn't understand the comment, but I couldn't agree more. Yes, check those mirrors with your eyes,
check, and also check past the mirrors. I mean, not just don't look at the mirrors, but look past the mirrors. There are areas of blockages that are behind the mirrors. Make sure you look at those too. Look around the mirror. I mean,
make sure again you're using your eyes.
And always, always use your eyes when you're using mirrors. Yes.
Yeah. We got any videos to show?
Yeah, we had some videos this morning. You know, we're going to look at some, you know, adverse weather. And this time of year, it goes on a lot. This driver has done a very nice job of staying back, creating that space, increasing the space between them. As the video started, we saw, you know, somebody that wasn't paying attention and ended up down in the ditch. And so mindful of your situation around you, big picture. If you need to slow down. Slow down. If you don't feel comfortable, get off the road.
And little things you see.
And not in the center.
Here. Yeah, for sure, right? Little things we see on this as well. When we see the water kicking up ahead of us, what is that telling us, Dave or Dale, from the vehicle in front of us?
The water's on the road?
Water's on the road. Maybe not iced up yet, but those are things that we look for. When the roads are frozen, you start seeing the ice or that water kick up. Maybe the roads are loosening up a little bit. So things that you want to look at here. Anything else we see on here? No abusive windshield wipers.
No, this
That's
is an
good.
actual proper use of windshield wipers right here. Do appreciate you. And you know what? The wipers look to be in good condition, too, as they
Look to be doing their job right there. Not going to wear the windshield out on that one. I'm not sure we're seeing lights on that vehicle. There's a vehicle in the passing lane ahead of us. I'm not sure we're seeing taillights. It's a reminder. Turn your lights on. Drive with your lights on. And be seen. That's one of the tenets. If you're not seen,
it's
they can't
raining.
avoid you,
It's the law. It's a commercial vehicle. It's raining. They must be on.
Yeah, and
those wipers are moving. The lights must be on.
Yeah, we see that Amazon trailer in the middle, right? We see that part, and that's the part. Again, we just want to remind you. It's yes, maybe you went out and everybody else was. You felt like I had to get there. When you're in the middle, Dave, are you getting there?
You aren't getting there, and as we look at the road, and sometimes you don't know what happened for that big truck. He may not have had an out on the right, as you see that wall of rock. He may not have had an out. That may have been his out. We don't know what was happening in the roadway. We don't want anybody to be there. We want everybody to be mindful of what transpired, but make sure you're careful, right? Always.
This one right here, just somebody had a bad day, and again, it's about slowing down, knowing when to get off the road, when to park up, and everything, and so you don't end up in this type of situation. Just showing that. I like the speed of the driver going through this. He's really got it back down, controlling the traffic behind him and everything. So great job by the driver here.
That's kind of an odd one here. I mean, the roads look spectacularly clear. I mean, it's a beautiful picture, all this. You have the truck over there, so it may not have been, it could have just been somebody lost control of the vehicle, maybe wind or something like that. Probably wasn't the road, or it happened the night before.
I guess it probably happened the night before, and they're just out there cleaning up, because it looks like the emergency responders, first responders already left the scene. So,
and that's our caution to each and every one. We just want to make sure that, just be safe, no matter what you do, and not just in inclement weather and anything, because when we see these folks on the road, the tow trucks, I mean, it's just like the ambulance and the fire trucks. When they're on that highway, Dave, it's scary, right? I mean, the trucks, slow down when you're going past them and all that, because there's people out there, and bad things can happen. It's a dangerous job these tow truck drivers have as well.
Yeah, they're actually in the process of righting this vehicle, and where they've got themselves positioned, they're going to winch it up and set it up right, and then try to figure out how to get it out of there. So they actually have a difficult job in front of them, and I'm sure it's not pristine warm. It may be sunshine, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably cool, or if not cold, in that environment right there.
Yeah, probably fair to say.
Right here,
Headlight ahead.
Stoplights.
Yep, stoplight ahead, and we're going to stop for it. And then that's just a great job by the driver being prepared for it. That stale green light. Of course, the four-wheelers think differently, and we just hate to see that. They've got to get in that same mindset of, that yellow light means stop. It doesn't mean try racing through it, because intersections are dangerous. So if you have kids at home or other people that drive in your family, hey, just remind them that they're driving the four-wheeler. Say, hey, you know what? These yellow lights aren't to try racing through. They're to stop. They're to clear that intersection out.
Yeah, for sure. And Dave, when you've talked about it before, but the four-wheeler that's tailgating the big truck here as well. If the big truck runs this, the four-wheeler runs it as well, right?
Absolutely.
Because he or she, they can't see the light changed on it, and then oftentimes that can also lead to an accident.
Right. So you've got, and everybody's going to pretty much follow what you do out there, because you're the big dog running through the intersection. They figure if they're safer if they're next to you or right next to you. So you got to be the leader out there each and every time. And you'll notice that there's construction personnel and or electrical personnel set out cones, and there's guys walking around with jackets. So it's always good to also be cautious as you enter this environment. See all those guys out there working with cones and walking in the streets. They're all over the place, so just be cautious.
And we're going to look at some tailgating here, and tailgating is never a good never a good idea. And this guy over there is getting up there. We're talking drafting yesterday. Doesn't increase the mileage, just makes things unsafe for everybody in that situation. So, just slow down, increase that space. Especially, roads are a little bit compromised here. Maybe a little getting close to that icy stage. He's got to stop. He's got no place to go. So just increase the space.
When you're following somebody closer than the trucks that actually platoon in, say, Australia, there's something wrong, right? I mean, you can't do this.
I thought for a minute that it was connected with a dolly.
Yeah, right? I mean, and we want to, and it happens, right? And I think for the O'Reilly Auto Parts truck here that's doing this part, the important thing is that, man, what we want to do and what we preach on here all the time is I think once you recognize it, then you back off.
Right.
But for some reason, it's just not in his mind or her mind. Whoever's driving this truck, they don't realize how close they are. They don't realize that if something bad happens up ahead, there's going to be an accident. They don't realize that, or they wouldn't do it. So that's part of what we do, and that's why we show these videos. So when you catch yourself possibly a little bit too close, Dale, immediately you should just start counting, right? Count, and if you can't get to 4, you're too close. Back it off. It takes action.
Yeah, you're not going to force this guy over. I don't know.
Now, here we're looking at just, quick change of mind, with a four-wheeler. It's going to take that exit, and then we said it earlier today, don't cross the double white lines, and so is this four-wheeler doing this one. It doesn't take the exit, it goes right across those double white lines, and so actually a couple solid white line, then double white lines. So, just have to be mindful of what's going on. Driver had a nice job, great space there, so, just was away from the chaos.
Yeah, and I said this the other day, I think it was this week here, and I think Drive Safe, you looked at me like I was crazy, but I'm just telling you, us four-wheelers, we just feel comfortable pulling out in front of big trucks. I don't understand what it is. It's like, they can stop. And it's like, no, it's the opposite. They can't stop. It's like, I don't get it. They do it all the time. It's like, here's a big truck. What a perfect place to pull out in front of. And he's carrying gas or something like that.
Yeah, 1072. He's got it right there. He's got it placard out. Hey, that's a great person to pull out in front of a rolling bomb.
It is nuts. What the four-wheelers think about what they go on. Listen, it's Friday. We want to make sure that we continue to stay safe out there. We do our part, right? We want to continue to make those safe decisions. What you do, we're here to help support you. We're here to encourage you. We celebrate the yellow lights that you slow down and stop on. We celebrate when you're not following too close. It's what gets it. We celebrate when you're not running, when you're sitting in the snow or the ice. We celebrate you and we thank you, and we're so thankful for all that you do. Our dear Heavenly Father, continue to watch over these drivers. I know we're going to be anxious. Lord, find ways to perhaps get us a few more miles this week. Open up some doors, some roads for us. Keep us safe always, though. Watch over our drivers. Watch over all of these folks. Get them home safe to their families. God bless America. Watch over this world, too. Be with the leaders of these worlds that we can make some decisions that are just right. Watch over that area in Ukraine. Be with those people, Lord, and we just pray for them all the time. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Everybody, we want you to stay safe out there. We'll see you this afternoon only on BCB Live,
the safest station in the nation.